This motion is not urgent. We never took the vote. So when you are bringing motion under that order, sir, it's better to know the rule so that we don't just bring any motion to delay us. I'm not saying Oga doesn't. The motion you brought is not urgent.
Senator Karimi says that the motion is not urgent, but any motion that can lead to safety of lives, for me, is urgent. Because if we don't stop this extension, more people will continue to be harmed. Prayers, as earlier agreed. I need to thank the Distinguished Senator Ekpenyong. Senator Karimi says that the motion is not urgent, but any motion that can lead to safety of lives, for me, is urgent. Because if we don't stop this extension, more people will continue to be harmed.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The Senate notes that in line with global regulatory standards and international best practice, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, following collaborative consultations with industry and regulatory stakeholders, announced a phased ban on the importation, manufacture, and distribution of alcoholic beverages packaged in sachet formats. Further notes that in 2018, stakeholders, including the Federal Ministry of Health, the FCCPC, NAFDAC, and industry bodies, namely the Association of Food, Beverage, and Tobacco Employers, voluntarily signed a 5-year memorandum of understanding committed to the gradual phase-out of the production and sale of these high-strength alcoholic beverages in this packaging format due to growing public health concerns over their affordability, portability, easy accessibility, and increasing consumption and abuse among children, adolescents, commercial vehicle drivers, and other vulnerable groups. Aware that the federal government, upon appeal from industry players, granted an additional 1-year moratorium in 2024 to enable manufacturers to exhaust existing stock, adjust production lines, and explore compliant packaging alternatives until December 2025. Notwithstanding the clear provisions of this MOU are the subsequent directives issued by NAFDAC prohibiting the practice. Concerned that as the deadline of December 2025 approaches, some manufacturers continue to lobby for another extension, thereby undermining regulatory authority, jeopardizing public health, and potentially encourage prolonged proliferation and circulation of these products in harmful sachet packaging formats in our communities. Further concerned that certain manufacturers who complied in good faith now suffer competitive disadvantages against those who continue to produce and distribute non-compliant formats, creating a distorted market environment and disincentivizing responsible industry behavior. Recognizing that excessive youth exposure to cheap, high alcohol content products packaged in sachet formats contributes to addiction, impaired cognitive development, increased school dropout rates, road accidents, domestic violence, and other social vices. Worried that pushing this moratorium further will impede the full enforcement of the extant powers and responsibilities of NAFDAC as the statutory empowered regulator in Section 5 and Section 31 of its enabling statute, and also undermine ideals of a fitting national alcohol policy, thereby weakening Nigeria's standing as a responsible member of the global community committed to the World Health Organization recommendations on alcohol harm reduction. Mindful of the provisions of Section 17(3)(f) of the 1999 Constitution, which mandates that children, young persons, and the aged are protected against exploitation and moral and material neglect, thereby obligating the government to proactively curb harmful products easily accessed by minors. Disturbed that continued delays in the enforcement of the prohibition will further saturate the market with high-strength alcoholic product packaged in sachet format. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to mandate and direct NAFDAC and relevant regulatory agencies not to grant any further extension to the moratorium scheduled to lapse in December 2025 and to immediately ensure strict enforcement of the ban and prohibition of packaging high-strength alcohol in sachet formats in all parts of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from December 2025 without delay. 2, mandate the Federal Ministry of Health to ensure that there are no impediments to the ability of NAFDAC to enforce the prohibition of the packaging of alcoholic products in sachet formats in any part of Nigeria. 3, call on the Federal Ministry of Health to expedite the conclusion and public release of the National Alcohol Policy that contains a clear and unequivocal prohibition of the packaging of high-strength alcoholic products in sachet format, and to support NAFDAC in providing a holistic direction for enforcement and public sensitization. 4, direct the National Orientation Agency to intensify nationwide sensitization campaigns on the dangers of high alcohol content beverages among youth and school-age children, and to discourage the packaging and consumption of these products in sachet format. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, I so move.
Professor.
Mr. President.
Sorry, Senator Ali. We have a point of order.
Mr. President.
Order what?
Order 41 and 52 to see whether the thing is urgent enough. This motion is not urgent. We never took the vote. So when you are bringing motion under that order, sir, it's better to know the rule so that we don't just bring any motion to delay us. I'm not saying Oga doesn't. The motion you brought is not urgent.
Noted. Thank you for correcting him. Yes, Senator.
I am Senator Professor Anthony Ani. I represent Ebonyi South. I rise to second the motion on the urgent national or the need to hold further extension of the phase out of alcoholic beverages packaged in sachet formats. Mr. Chairman, I want to reiterate this paragraph that says the Senate recognizes that excessive youth exposure to cheap, high alcohol content products packaged in sachets contributes to addiction, impaired cognitive development, and we add affective and psychomotor development, increased school dropout rates, road accidents, domestic violence, and other vices. I so second, Mr. President.
It's a very harmful practice, putting alcoholic beverages in sachets. It's very easy for people to lick it as if they are licking sweets and all that. And then from there, a lot of people may have accidents. Some may be taking in poisonous and damaging items. So I thank you. And from what he said, they have continued to extend the tenure of the phase out of these alcoholic beverages in sachets, and they are about to extend again. So that's what makes it even urgent, that before they do further extension. So let's also go, how many extensions have they had?
From my understanding, they've extended, the deadline was 2023 and then was extended to 2024. The current deadline is now 2025, which is 1st of December. We have few weeks from the end of this month. So if we don't take it as urgent, within the next 2 weeks or so, they may announce a further extension or moratorium. So that's why it was urgent here.
So that's why it is urgent. Because by the time the current extension expires in December, right, they want to extend again. So we are trying to urge NAFDAC to stop further extension. So I think it's urgent enough. So we go into the prayers. Mandate and direct NAFDAC and relevant regulatory agencies not to grant any further extension to the moratorium scheduled to lapse in December 2025, and to immediately ensure strict enforcement of the ban and prohibition of packaging high-strength alcohol in sachet formats in all parts of the Federation of Nigeria from December 2025. Those in support of prayer one say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, mandate the Federal Ministry of Health to ensure that there are no impediments to the ability of NAFDAC to enforce the prohibition of the packaging of alcoholic products in sachet formats in any part of our country. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, call on the Federal Ministry of Health to expedite the conclusion and public release of the National Alcoholic Policy, particularly those that are contained which are very clear and unequivocal in respect of the prohibition of the packaging of high-strength alcoholic products in sachet formats, and then support NAFDAC in providing a holistic direction for enforcement and public sensitization. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, direct the National Orientation Agency to intensify nationwide sensitization campaigns on the dangers of high alcohol content beverages among youths and school-aged children in sachets, and to discourage the packaging and consumption of these products in sachet forms across the country. Those in support of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I thank you for bringing this to the fore, particularly because of the danger involved in this and the fact that it's very easy for young school children to be moving around with sachets in their hands, and you don't know that what they are sucking is high. You think they are sucking Fanta. You don't know they are sucking high alcoholic beverages and all that. So thank you for bringing this to the fore, and I do hope that now that the Senate has spoken, that NAFDAC and the relevant agencies will see the need to stop further extension of dates to stop this harmful practice. So we are saying that by December 2025, the practice should end, and there should not be further extension. The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has spoken. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.